Imagine being home alone, late at night. The lights are off, and every sound seems louder than it should. You convince yourself it's just your imagination until you realize you are not alone. Today, you're going to hear true accounts of people who experience terrifying moments inside their own homes. After watching, you might never look at the silence of the night the same way again. Story 1. The Voice from the Empty Room. It was just after midnight when Lucas arrived home, exhausted after a long day at work. He lived alone in a small apartment, one of those old buildings that always seem to hold more memories than they should. As he opened the door, everything seemed normal. He placed his keys on the table, took off his shoes, and lay down on the sofa, hoping to relax. But suddenly, he heard the sound of the bedroom door opening. He furrowed his brow. Hadn't he closed that door? The room was at the end of the hallway, and the darkness made the corridor seem much longer than it really was. He took a deep breath, trying to convince himself it was just a draft. But then something froze his body in place. A soft, almost whispering voice came from inside the room. "I'm coming, son." Lucas's heart jumped. The echo of those words stuck in his mind. He lived alone. There was no one who could respond like that. Trembling, he called again, "Dad?" But only silence answered him. Slowly, he stood up, each step heavy, as if pushed backward by an invisible force. When he finally reached the door, he extended his hand and pushed it open slowly. The lamp was on, the bed messy as usual. Nothing seemed out of place. Yet, the feeling of being watched was suffocating. Determined not to spend the night there, Lucas grabbed his keys and ran out of the apartment. The next day, when he returned, everything was as he had left it, but he never forgot that voice. Even today, when sleep begins to come, he fears hearing someone calling him from the empty room again. Story 2. The Silhouette in the Storm. It was a rainy night, and Mariana was home alone. Her parents had traveled to visit relatives, and she decided to take the opportunity to watch movies late. Sitting on the sofa, wrapped in a blanket, the sound of the rain hitting the windows created an oddly comforting atmosphere, at least until something caught her attention. Between flashes of lightning, she had the impression of seeing a silhouette standing behind a living room curtain. Her heart raced. "It's just my imagination," she thought, trying to calm herself. But when another lightning bolt lit up the room, the shadow was there again, tall, still, as if watching her every move. Mariana grabbed her phone with trembling hands and called the police, quickly explaining what was happening. As she spoke, she felt the weight of footsteps coming from upstairs. Panic overtook her. She was alone in the house. There should be no one upstairs. The dispatcher's voice instructed her to stay calm and lock herself in a safe place until help arrived. Mariana ran to the bathroom, locked the door, and stayed completely silent, trying to control her breathing. With each thunderclap, it seemed she could hear the floorboards creaking, as if someone was walking back and forth. After what felt like hours, the police arrived. They searched every corner of the house, but found nothing. No sign of a break-in, no footprints. Mariana began to think she might have imagined it all, until one officer called her over to see something in the room. On the carpet, next to the bed, there were fresh mud marks. Someone had been there. The police couldn't explain how, but it was clear. This was not just a trick of the storm. Story 3. The Living Attic. Pedro never believed in ghost stories. To him, everything had a logical explanation. Noises were just the wind. Shadows were the product of imagination. But all that changed one night when he was home alone. It was late, almost 3 in the morning. We began hearing footsteps coming from the attic. At first, he thought it might be an animal trapped, maybe a rat. But the steps were slow, deliberate, too heavy for a small creature. His heart started racing, but curiosity was stronger. He grabbed a flashlight and opened the folding ladder that led to the attic. The air up there was dense, smelling of dust and old wood. Pedro shone the light into every corner, but saw nothing. Just old boxes, forgotten suitcases, and total silence. Suspended between fear and reason, he began to climb down again, convinced he was imagining things. Then he heard a sound behind him, as if something was dragging across the floor. He turned the flashlight quickly, but there was nothing. He decided to leave immediately, but when he reached the room, he found something that made his blood run cold. On the desk was a notebook he didn't remember having. On the cover, his name was written in strange handwriting. When he opened it, he found page after page of drawings, silhouettes of someone standing by his bed, watching him while he slept. Every page depicted a different scene, but always in the same room, always in the same spot. On the last page, the drawing showed exactly what was happening at that moment. Him, standing, flashlight in hand, looking at the notebook. Pedro threw the notebook away and ran out of the house, vowing never to return. To this day, he doesn't know who drew those pictures, but ever since, every time he closes his eyes, he feels someone still watching him, waiting for the right moment to come down from the attic. 3 stories. 3 people at different times experienced something they could never explain. And all of them happen in the same place where, in theory, we should feel safest. Inside our homes. Home is where we feel protected, where we relax, where we let all our defenses down. But what if, in that trusted space, something hides in the darkness? The first voice, responding from an empty room. The silhouette in the storm, leaving fresh mud under the bed. And the footsteps in the attic, followed by drawings that should not exist. 3 different accounts, but united by one point: the feeling that you are not truly alone. Perhaps this is what makes these stories so disturbing. The fear of looking at the bedroom door and imagining a figure standing there. The dread of hearing a noise in the hallway and not being sure if it's just a wood creaking or something walking towards you. Now I ask you, would you have the courage to spend an entire night home alone after hearing what you just heard? Could you turn off the lights, close your eyes, and believe nothing will happen? If you've ever experienced something similar, share your story in the comments. I want to know which of these stories affected you the most. And before you go, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for more true horror stories. Because, in the end, you never know when you'll hear a voice calling your name inside your own home and find no one to answer.